Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine, and today we are welcome with Alfonso Gonzalez. How we doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Doing actually no, let's say we're doing great now that we're on the I Love Wrestling pod.
Exactly.
I like that it's ILW because like some days you're like, oh, I just kind of like wrestling, but then some days you love it. It could work for both, I guess.
It's a love hate thing. It's always
Yeah,
there, but
absolutely.
you understand. You're in this, so you
Yeah,
understand.
more love than hate for sure.
Exactly. That's why I couldn't go with the I maybe love
Yeah,
wrestling or I like
I
wrestling.
selectively like wrestling when it does what I want it to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I get
Um,
you.
how is the leader of Team Alfonso doing today?
Dude, amazing. Stock and Team Alfonso's never been higher. We're still in the red, obviously, but other than that, things are going pretty well for us.
Got you,
I
man.
mean, it's fall weather. Can't complain about that. I love
No.
good fall weather outside. Briskness gives me a reason to stay indoors, so I don't feel like a total loser. Um, yeah, just living life, man. Trying to get as many shows as I can. How about yourself?
Pretty good. I do landscaping as a day job, so
I do it as
being
a hobby.
outside in the doing it outside in the cold is not always the best.
I get that.
But
It builds character, though.
exactly, and being able to come on here, this is my second interview of the day, and I love it. I'm just having a blast, living life.
Who
Got
else do you
big things
interview,
coming.
if you don't mind me asking?
Uh, you will be following Danny Luna from TNA.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty cool. Man, talk about a downgrade going to me, man.
No, no, look, I'll be honest, going back to the I love thing, I love being able to showcase the best that Chicago has to offer. I don't know if I've ever said this openly on a podcast before, but I'm just gonna throw it out here. I don't necessarily know if podcasting has been represented the best in Chicago.
Mhm.
There's good podcasts out there.
Yeah, like
There's
potting with
really good.
ego is pretty sick.
Exactly, and we'll
Uh,
dive into potting with ego. Don't that's on the questionnaire.
okay, good.
I feel like the Chicago podcasting scene and the Chicago wrestling scene sometimes gets overlooked.
No,
And
no, for
so, like,
sure.
one of the biggest things or reasons I started this was especially to showcase what we have in Chicago because
I appreciate that.
you know what I mean? Like, I just don't feel like maybe it's been represented the best, and maybe, you know,
Mhm.
how do I put this? Uh,
There could be more
feel like
love.
it needs a little bit more love. So why not bring the
Yeah.
I Love Wrestling podcast
Hey,
out
perfect.
and
Wrapping it
and
back
and
up to the name. I
and,
love it,
and,
bro.
sh- and shining a light on you guys and just bringing a nice light on Chicago.
No, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I've listened to a few of you guys' episodes, especially whenever my buddies are on. I think you're doing some great work. So happy to be here.
Thank you. You're in great company.
There we
I'll
go.
be,
Yeah.
I'll be honest. What really sparked my interest lately? Like I said, I've thought about having you on for a while now, but I had
Mhm.
Koda on. I had Koda Hernandez on. Great guy.
What a bore.
And you made an appearance yourself and Mustafa
Yes.
Ali, great
Yeah,
company.
somebody much
How
better. Yeah, somebody much bigger than both of us made an appearance. I would have clickbaited the hell out of that episode, being like the
look, I'm not
Mustafa
gonna lie,
Ali
that's how I
interview.
promoted it at Uncut Gems. So I was a sponsor for Bloodstone Uncut Gems, and
Yes.
I was passing out flyers outside for the Coda interview. And like
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, Coda Hernandez is on it," and like everybody was just kind of looking at it, and like I was like, me and my dad were outside passing out the flyers, and I was like, "Dad,
Huh.
switch it up. Tell Mustafa Ali's in the middle of it." And as soon as I started, they're like, "Really, really,
Yeah.
really?"
Then
And I was
their
like,
ears perk up.
"Perfect."
They're like, oh yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna tell you when he shows up. That's for you to watch the whole episode and find out for yourself.
Exactly.
I
Little
love
do
it.
they know it's like maybe 2 minutes. He just shows his face and he's
Yeah.
talking in the background,
Yeah,
but
and
he's
then
there.
taking his shoes off and putting on his street shoes.
So
Hey, you
I'll,
can't take that away from you. He showed up on the show. That's all that matters.
exactly. I thought it was so ironic because I guess a little behind the scenes that like earlier that week TNA does their interview opportunity emails, and
Yes.
Ali was one of the guys that was on there. And immediately I was like, yeah, I'd love to do have Mustafa Ali on, and I never heard anything back. So
Hmm.
then to have Kodo on and then Ali make an
Yeah.
appearance, it was like, okay, it was kind of like God's way of being like, just hold your horses. We'll
Hey,
get
yeah.
there.
Hey, remember
Take your time.
that's just now. There's still plenty of time. Who knows? Maybe Coda and I could put in a good word. If it happens, it's because of me. But if not, it's because of Coda.
Okay. Okay. Alfonso, I gotta know. This is the I Love Wrestling podcast, like we've said probably 20 times so far in this interview
Yeah, because
already.
we do love it. That's why.
We love it. When did you fall in love with wrestling?
Oh man, like just like it's hard for me to put a date to it. Like looking back, like I literally it sounds like a cop out answer, but I feel like I've loved wrestling my whole life because like I can't remember like one specific moment. Like I remember early childhood, my one of my older brothers was obsessed with The Rock. Uh and my other brother was obsessed with Austin. So like I remember I was obsessed with Mankind, and we would like super young, like right after watching all these like best of matches or whatever DVDs are out, they play the "Do Not Try This at Home," and immediately after we'd go in the backyard and try it at home, literally like that. Like I can't really put it to a certain time because like it goes as far back as I remember, and it's not just my brothers. My dad loves it. He grew up like in California, so he's like was a big fan of like the LA territories, and then he saw like Vince like bought everything, and then he'd be like, oh, all of our best LA guys are now in WWF, so like he's got the, like a true love for it as well. And like I just can't put it to a certain date or day, but it's always been there.
So, did you grow up in California or in Illinois?
California, but I pretty much say I'm from Illinois because like I mean, I won't say, I don't have to get into dates, but like halfway through second grade, I
Okay,
moved here. So I think I did most of my growing in like the Chicago area
that makes sense.
more so than, but I was born in California, but I say I'm from Chicago.
Do you have any like recollection of what wrestling looked like in California, maybe as opposed to what it looks like in Chicago?
Well, the thing is, like, then I was really only like, I had no idea about any wrestling outside of WWE.
Okay.
And I'd never gone to an event until we lived in Chicago. So, like, for my recollection is just like remembering the Raw's War stage, remembering the sets of pay per views and things like that. Pretty much whatever I saw on the screen is all my recollection uh, wrestling when I was in California. It wasn't until we like moved to Chicago. Our dad took us to like shows and like 'cause I think that's when he found out like we really loved it. I think he thought we like liked it because when you're a kid, you kind of like a lot of things, and then like some things kind of fade away, some things stick around. He saw that wrestling really stuck around. Then he would like take us to like shows and whatnot. So I have a much more like uh, a better image of wrestling from Chicago than California.
What was your first exposure to independent wrestling?
Independent wrestling. I think it's kind of like when all the stuff was going on in like New Japan with Bullet Club. I got into it like kind of later because
Okay.
I always followed like what was on TV. So I'd follow like TNA, WWE, um, and then like I'd always see like ads for like indies or whatever like around here, and I'm like I always thought like oh like I thought it was like small. Like I was just so naive to how much wrestling was truly out there. I just thought like oh yeah maybe there's just like a couple like stragglers out there. I had no idea like the vast pool of talent that's out there. But like Bullet Club and all the stuff that was going on in New Japan kind of opened my eyes to that. Then I'm like oh I look these guys up and I'm like whoa they're like wrestling like in the area like pretty consistently. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And you can see it for like a way cheaper price than having to go to like, some of these big shows or whatever. And like you get to meet these guys. I'm like, this is like the coolest thing ever. It's like you watch these dudes online and then like like they're literally like right in front of you. You can just talk to them, have a conversation with them, buy the merch directly from them.
Absolutely. Who do you think was the best leader of Bullet Club?
Oh man. I'm always torn because I for me, I think my favorite stuff was with Omega,
Okay.
but man, I love AJ too. It's tough.
Okay. We're on the same page.
Yeah,
We're on the same page. It's
it
those
flip
two.
flops on the day. Yeah, between those two, it's tough. But I think I always lean towards Omega just a little bit more.
Okay. I think one of those things about that conversation is I guess Balor has to be brought up. Prince Devitt
Oh
has
yeah,
to be brought up.
absolutely.
But I feel like Bullet Club put out their best work with Styles and became
Yeah,
mainstream with Omega and Rhodes.
yeah, yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, for
So
sure.
it's
Because like that's crazy. They're getting shirts and Hot Topic, got their Funko Pops
yes,
made. Like it's crazy.
absolutely. I think I probably had every Bullet Club shirt that went through a Hot Topic,
Yeah, the same
and
here.
every single one.
I'd rush out, try and get every exclusive, bro. I was a huge nerd. I mean, I still am. I'm still pretty pathetic, but it's whatever.
It happens. It happens. I'm with you. Look. I think the funniest thing about being a nerd in wrestling is like there's levels to it. Like there's people that watch, there's people that go to shows, and then there's us guys that
Yeah.
talk about wrestling,
Yeah.
and then there's you guys that wrestle. So like there's
Yeah.
levels to it, and I
Dude,
I, I love it.
I love it because, dude, wrestlers will like call people out for being nerds about wrestling. It's like, then why are you here then? If you're not a nerd about wrestling, why are you beating yourself up? Like, bro, like
Exactly.
cut the act. Nobody's buying it. Everybody that's in wrestling is a nerd about wrestling.
You have to be. There's no other
Yeah.
way.
If you're not a nerd about wrestling and you're wrestling, you're like, you got to be like, all right, something's off. Like, you're like, yeah, I'm just willingly gonna get beat up.
You're a sicko. If you
Yeah.
just are doing it because you don't love it or you
Yeah. Hey,
don't
but props to those people. So.
exactly. So what goes through the mind when you decide to go from fan or nerd of wrestling
Mhm.
into trying to pursue a training facility and actually actively pursue wrestling?
I think it also just goes so far back to where I knew I'd always want to try it at some
Mhm.
point. To whatever extent, I always left open because I didn't want to like pigeonhole myself and put so much pressure and be like, this has to become like your career or whatever. Because I feel like that's where like your love of things can get lost. If you put more pressure and then you don't meet those goals, you tend to burn out faster. So I think it goes to when I was like graduating high school or even still in high school. I already knew I'm like, I know I'm going to try it. It's just a matter of when. I had a shitbox car, so I knew I couldn't find every good school I wanted to go to. I'm like, I know I can't make those drives. It literally was dependent until I got a better car. And then I found the freelance school online because I've been following some of the indie companies on like socials, and I followed
Mhm.
freelance wrestling, and then I saw that they had a school. So I hit them up and I started training in 2020, which is like a testament to how dedicated I was. That as the world was shut down and they barely started accepting like very few students at a time, like I jumped on the opportunity because I was like, if not now, then when? Especially with like what was going on and like the world, everything shut down. I'm like, who knows when an opportunity will come up again? So I jumped at the bit to join that school in 2020.
Were there any other options that you was looking for,
No, yeah,
or
yeah. There's
was
plenty of options, but like advice like I'd hear in like interviews all the time because I'd watch all like these wrestlers being interviewed talking about them getting their like foot in the door because I try to
Mhm.
absorb as much knowledge as possible before I would get started. They always say just find a school with like that has put out like reputable people or people that you look up to, and I saw some like people that I'd been following kind of on the indies that came from that school, and I looked at the trainers, like Bryce Benjamin, Isaiah Velasquez, and Kylie Ray, and I'm like they've all did or done great work, so I was like, yeah, it's a no brainer. I'm like, of course I'll try here.
and what did that training look like for you, whether in during the pandemic and then even afterwards?
Oh man, I think it was definitely like it wasn't something too new, but it was still kind of refreshing because I trained in judo for I'm not good at math. I think like 9 years around there. So I'd already been used to like kind of combat sports and like the cardio. I also did amateur wrestling in like high school and like middle school. So like I knew what like death days are in training sessions, like having no air left in your lungs, just wanting to throw up, but then you got to get up and like keep working at it. So I expected that. The differences came when um, there's certain things in wrestling you just don't get from other sports. Like no other sport, you're gonna go hit the ropes as hard as you can to keep running. Things like that. Still, like things like running the ropes would like leave bruises on my back. The first time I remember I learned how to bump. I could like barely like bend over the next day. My back was so sore. So it's funny because like I thought I'd have an idea of how it would go, and I kind of was right. But then like my body was also telling me like, oh yeah, like it's been a minute since we've done anything like this. Yeah,
What do you think was the hardest thing for you to overcome throughout your training?
man. I think the hardest thing overall is always going to be conditioning because it's very easy to like, or I should say, it's very hard to get like good wind, and I think it's very easy to lose it if you don't maintain like
Yes.
a good training schedule or a good work schedule of like getting a lot of opportunities. Because I mean, everything goes to that. Because like form, you can like get down pretty well over time and get really good to where it's like almost like second nature to do things. But if you're say you're like 8 minutes into like a 15-minute match and you have no more gas in the tank, that's where all the mess ups come. So it's like it's so important to have good wind. And luckily, where I'm training now, it's like we're very aware of that, and it
Mhm.
is like a big priority whenever we all train.
Was there anything throughout training that came natural or even easy to you?
Um, I mean, I don't like to brag or like toot my own horn, but like it's not even really like that. But like judo, like I said, doing it for 9 years, there was a lot of similarities between judo and pro wrestling because judo is essentially a martial art of throwing your opponent, being able to throw them on their back, being able to submit them and pin them.
Mhm.
So as you know, when you do that as a sport, you're taught the proper ways to fall to take care of yourself. So in many ways, I already knew like kind of how to do rolls and bumps because like, and it also just becomes second nature in judo because you don't want to like reach back, break your arm, you don't want to break your neck. So many of those things like stuck with me that when I started training, I'm like, oh, this is very similar to judo. So like that stuff kind of came easier. Uh, One thing is like I've always been a very outgoing person and I've always liked to entertain people to whatever extent I can. So when it came to like actually getting matches when the time came, it was very easy for me to just make like the biggest idiot out of myself for other people's entertainment
Mhm.
because I feel like it's better to have people laughing with you than at you. But I think both are pretty good anyway.
Absolutely. I love it. So, just out of curiosity, like doing 9 years in jujitsu, was there ever an idea to do MMA?
Oh no, dude, I suck, dude. No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't think no, I was fine. I did okay for like juniors, but then like there's a big difference between juniors and once you enter in like once you're 16 and older and you could actually submit and arm bars and chokes in tournaments. There's a big difference like from there. And I think for me personally, like I know we're in wrestling, but I'm a very like I don't want to hurt people
Makes
to
sense.
where
It
like
makes
I
sense.
just I just yeah, I just don't have that like killer instinct in me. So I never really had it. I was always so nervous for competitions. I didn't want to like I didn't want to get hurt and I didn't want to hurt people. Like I'm very empathetic when it comes to that. So I just didn't have that like switch where I'm like I mean, I would do an MMA if I can get my ass kicked if I get paid good, but no, I just wrap around their leg for like the 12 minutes or whatever.
Let him drag you around.
Yeah, just casually keep walking around the cage and not engage.
So, like, I mean, if you really think about it, I guess pro wrestling makes the most sense because it's the one combat sport where your job is to not hurt your opponent, but make
Yeah,
it
yeah.
look like you're hurting your
No,
opponent.
absolutely. And it always comes back to like just being entertaining, I think is the most important thing too. Where it's just like
Has
I love to entertain. So it's like it's perfect.
has that always been something in you? Like, were you the kid in front of like at the in the living room trying to perform in front of your parents and whoever else was there?
Yeah, it's funny because like I was never really like that with my family. It was more so when I was with my friends, like just all of us
I got
goofing around, trying to like pop each other, do whatever. And like we were all like we were just like all weirdos or whatever. We all had our own thing we did. Like one of my buddies was like really good at playing drums. My thing, I loved. So I don't know. I'll tell you. I loved breakdancing
you.
a
Okay.
lot. That's something me and my brothers actually loved doing. So we'd watch all these like movies like Breakin' Two, Electric Boogaloo, Beat Street, every Michael Jackson music video, and I was big into Michael Jackson. I like almost knew every like music videos, choreography, so much so that I think like the first time I ever like performed something out of my own free will that I wasn't forced to do, like your parents like force you to like do whatever, like band or whatever stuff like that. Was I did the talent show in sixth grade and I did a Michael Jackson dance like right after he passed away, and I won it. And then I've been chasing that feeling ever since, and my life's been all downhill since.
I mean, even wrestling somebody like Santana Jackson.
That dude, that was surreal. I was so hyped to do that. And I'm like, that was the full circle moment where I'm like, okay, like we've come back to the basics here.
I love the spot where he throws the baby off the balcony.
Oh, I was
It's
so happy he was.
absolutely amazing.
I appreciate that. I was so happy he was down to do that. I made sure I covered every corner. I was like, I grabbed people. I'm like, we're going over here. Make sure people get out of the way. Make sure the cameraman can see this. Everybody in the balcony, get out of the way. I'm like, we need to nail this. And I don't know if you, there's other, I don't think it shows up on the stream, but on certain angles we've posted, I grab the baby's legs and they wrap around my neck and it gives me a hurricanrana on the floor.
Okay, that I watched right before we got on here actually. I watched the clip on your Instagram.
Yes.
And I was wondering, like, you catch it and it looks like you roll. So
Yes.
that makes so much more sense. I was like, why
Yeah.
do you roll with the baby?
I'll send you another angle. Camera guy Nick, he had a great angle of it in slow motion.
I love it. I can't wait to see it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Speaking of camera guy Nick, I was going to talk about later in the show, but it just seems like a good way to segue right into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just put together the inaugural Bloodstone Wrestling event, Uncut Gems. Tell us a little bit about you being a part of it, being a part of the triple threat match, and maybe what we can expect out of you and that company moving forward into the future.
Oh, no, absolutely. So I guess I'll start with my relationship with camera guy Nick. It's probably started like a couple years ago. I'd always kind of see him around. Like I knew he would like shoot the Warrior shows or and then he started doing work at Freelance, and I was really excited when I heard that he was going to be like the photographer at Freelance because I was a big fan of his work. And like we didn't like really hit it off or talk until like a few months later because I think we're both kind of like kept to ourselves a little bit, like that we tend to do that. But then like we realized we actually had a lot in common, and then I'll tell you, I think he's like in the Chicago, people talk about the Chicago wrestling scene. Oftentimes, people like videographers or photographers get so overlooked. Where I truly believe he's one of the hardest working guys out there. Just he's nonstop grinding out edits, highlight reels for people, hype packages, whatnot, promos. So like nothing but respect for Nick. Like he's helped me out like so much. Like we collab on so many promos
Mhm.
because like I think we think very similarly. Well, I'll put out like a seed of an idea and then we both kind of brainstorm. I kind of have like a skeleton of what I want to do and what I want to say, and then he brings like the artistic eye to it. Where he'll be like, it'll be better if I film it like so and so, or we do it from this angle, and maybe like we cut here and pick it up somewhere else. Like, yeah, that guy is just so talented.
Absolutely.
So obviously, as soon as he like started like flirting with the idea of running his own show, I mean, obviously, I supported him. I'm like, of course, man. Like, I think that would be a blast. And then, like, he showed us the graphic before he posted it to public. And he's like, it's going to happen. He's like, it's not just going to be one either. He's like, it's something I kind of want to keep doing, to whatever extent he's going to do it. Like, however many shows he wants to do. I think he's still, like, kind of figuring that out. But he asked me if I'd want to be on. I'm like, bro, of course. I'd do anything for that guy. So we get the triple threat match. Myself, Sean Logan, Bobby Orlando. I was very excited. I've worked Sean before in multi-mans. I still really want to wrestle him in singles because we've never gotten that opportunity. Never gotten to work with Bobby, but I was really excited to because I don't even think we've ever been on the same show together.
Okay.
So, I'm familiar with his work, so I was just super stoked to be a part. And it's history too, because like who knows where Bloodstone will go, but like I can say for sure that I was on the very first show, so that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And I mean, like even just going and looking at your guys' match, triple threat on an already stacked card. Like
Yeah.
card is stacked. But I mean some of the moments when you're looking at that match, like Bobby Orlando doing the tope suicida to the outside, knocking the whole barricade over, like
Yeah.
things like that were just so cool to see. And bringing Bobby in was cool because I I was seeing some of his work online. I'd seen
Mhm.
some of the stuff he did like for Creator Pro and things like that. But
Yeah.
being able to see him in that match, I feel like bringing somebody like him in from another broader part of the Indies
Mhm.
and putting him with some of the top guys in the Chicago area also helps showcase you guys
No,
because
absolutely. Yeah.
his audience gets to now see what Alfonso has and things like that.
No, yeah, absolutely. And it's cool because I know he's done some work with like Dreamwave Wrestling, and that's
Mhm.
kind of like further down south in like Illinois, so it's not really like a part of Chicago. So I was happy we were able to get him out into Berwyn, kind of expose him more to the Chicago scene because a lot of those people definitely had not seen him work before. So I'm glad they got the opportunity there.
Do you think it was important for Bloodstone to do their first event in Berwyn at the Berwyn Eagles Club?
I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily important because I think anywhere we did it, it would have been good. But I think it's cool that it was at Berwyn because there's so much wrestling history in that building,
Mhm.
like so many memories. Like there's nothing like that Berwyn locker room. And I hadn't wrestled in Berwyn's for like a couple years actually, so
Okay.
I was happy to go back there. The building's changed a lot, but it's still pretty cool getting to hang out with the bros and whatnot in Berwyn.
So I'm going to, I guess, reel it back a little bit. We
Yeah, of
talked about
course.
your training. What did it look like leading up to your debut, and how were you feeling the day of and during your debut match?
Oh yeah, this is great. It's funny, like, and I'm very much just like I told you, I did like the research and I'd like listen to what people would say when they were like getting started and whatnot. Because like I mean, like why wouldn't you do research before you want to take on a task like wrestling? So I knew like the best advice you could always get is just keep your mouth shut and your ears open. I I felt like on the inside I'm like we're definitely getting to the point. I think a little under a year's worth of training. We're like
Mhm.
or I'm like I think we're like an opportunity might come sooner rather than later. But I'm not gonna be like an annoying asshole, go around and be like, "You think I can get a match? Oh, can I get on your show, please?" Like, I know you haven't said I'm ready yet. I'm obviously gonna, wait for my coaches to tell me I'm ready because what's the point of paying your coaches if when you're just gonna start working when you feel like you're ready? That'd be like if I went to Harvard and like 6 months in, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm ready to like become like I'm ready
Let's
to
go do
become a
law.
lawyer. Yeah, yeah, I'm done. I think I got the gist of this. Don't worry, professor. Like, I'll take it from here. Like, I think it's so stupid. So I always just like stayed quiet. I'm like, an opportunity will present itself when it's the right time. So I was helping out at a company called Zello Pro Wrestling. I don't think they're around anymore, but they were primarily in Milwaukee.
Okay.
And like they always say, card subject to change. Some wrestlers like either couldn't make it or they got sick and were unable to compete. And Hornswoggle from the Wisconsin area, I believe, was just gonna like manage the show. And then they looked at the card and all these people that pulled off or couldn't make it, they're like, this card is too short. So my trainer, Bryce Benjamin, he was on the show, and the bookers just go up to him and they're like, do you have any students that you think could wrestle Swoggle for 5 minutes? And like he was like looking around, and it was literally as soon as we showed up because we'd already been there. We set up everything, and then we just went to go grab a quick bite, came back, and then as soon as we came up, he's like, "Oh, Alfonso," he's like, "Come here." He's like, "Do you have your gear?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe I didn't listen too good to what people say when they say bring your gear everywhere." Because I looked at the poster and it's like Jordan Grace, Chelsea Green, Hornswoggle, and like I think Danhausen or whatever was on it. I was like, oh yeah,
Oh
it's.
shoot.
I'm like, it's
That
definitely.
card.
I'm like, it's not. I'm not getting on this show. I'm like, I haven't even had a match. There's no way I'm gonna be on here. So I don't bring my stuff, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't have my gear, and he's like, all right, we'll find you gear. Don't worry. You think you go 5 minutes with Hornswoggle? And I'm like, obviously, I'm like nervous, but I'm just like right away. I'm like, yes, because I know if I say no, it's just gonna go to somebody else. I'm like, might as well take it. When's this opportunity ever gonna present itself again? You know. So we call a 5 minute match with Swoggle. At this point in training, I think I'd only had like two or three practice matches, which is totally different because in training traditionally you just work on like spots or whatever, and like you'll do the spot real quick and then you kind of take a break and watch other people do it. So it's very different from like doing a practice match where you're doing like beginning, middle, ending.
Mhm.
So calling it, I think it's like I don't know if I don't I feel looking back, I don't feel like I was too nervous because Swoggle had such a he'd done this match so many times to where just listening to him, all I had to do was listen because he obviously he could do this match with anybody. It's like the Swoggle match. So I end up borrowing Chico Suave's boots, which were like a size or two sizes way too small. I'm pretty sure like my big toe was sticking out of one of the boots.
Oh, poor
He
guy.
also had trunks. It's the only time I ever wore trunks. They weren't even his. but he just had them, and they just said "evil" on the back. And it wasn't even evil. It wasn't like evil tights. It was like it literally just tights that happened to say evil. So we go out there and I kind of just do I like not wing a lot, but like in terms of personality, it's not too far of like stuff I've been doing or like still doing kind of to this day. Now I obviously amplified and found out what works better, what doesn't work as good. But I mean, like I always said, it's just, mouth shut, ears open. So like I had the match memorized, but then like he would throw in some little bits in there, like while we're in the ring, like he was chopping me, and he's like, cover up on this one. So I'm like, okay, so I cover up, and then I feel him put his hand on my hands, and he slowly lowers them. I'm playing into it, and he gives me a little eye poke, and I just start selling my eyes like crazy. It's like those things, like you just got to be prepared for anything in a match. So the feeling afterwards was pretty cool too. But I always want to be it's like humble as possible. So I immediately just started asking everybody because I do also feel like you can never be good enough. So I would just start immediately asking everybody like for advice or feedback or whatever. And everybody always says the same thing. They're like, just enjoy the first one.
Yeah.
Like, don't like you could be an asshole to yourself after that for every other match, but like just enjoy the first one. So I was like, all right. So I just thanked them for the opportunity. Thanks Swoggle. It was surreal, and I'm happy that it happened that way because I think I would have been more nervous if I had like a specific date and I knew like, oh, time's counting down to like when this match is gonna happen, when I'm gonna debut and have my first match ever. So they kind of took that away by just telling me like, hey, can you do this? Yeah, all right, cool. In like 45 minutes, you're gonna be wrestling.
I love the idea of just enjoying the first match because
Hmm.
obviously, yeah, I've heard it countless times on the podcast. You guys just saying my first match completely shit the bed. Like it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't, the grand like esque crazy 5-star classic that I anticipated. Like
Yeah,
so being able to take that moment and just enjoy it as once again as a nerd or a
yeah,
fan or
exactly
somebody
right.
who's loved this sport for so long, it's a definitely a different perspective into a debut, and it might be
Hmm.
the first time I've heard that on here,
No,
honestly.
yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a great way to look at it because then if you start nitpicking it, you're immediately going to go to like, oh yeah, I should have done that. I should have done this. And all I remember is like, I think once I got in my car and was about to drive back home, I just like sat for like a second and was just reflecting on everything, like watching wrestling as a kid now. You was seeing Swoggle on TV. The whole like I debuted a little under a year's worth of training. So just
Mhm.
looking back at like almost the last year, I'm like, man, like time flies. Just like all the stuff we learned, all the hours and in the PWT warehouse we were training in. And I was like, it was pretty cool, and I was excited. I didn't text any of my family yet because I was like, I'll just tell them in person. So I just drove and like told everybody, I'm like, oh, I just wrestled Swoggle, and they're like, what? And then showing them whatever footage I had. So it was
What
pretty
what was
surreal.
the reaction from the family?
Oh, they're all super hype, especially the brothers, because like my brother's the most supportive people in the world, and my dad. I think the people that like love wrestling, they're always more supportive because like they
Absolutely.
get it. Where like family members that don't really get wrestling, like they're like, "Ah, it's cool. You're doing your
Cool.
thing. You're doing your little thing. Yeah, that's cool." But the people that love wrestling, they really get it.
It's funny that you say that because like recently I had the Hardy Boys on, which is
Yeah. Oh, that's
crazy.
sick.
It's
Yeah.
so
Right.
sick. And
Who would have
like
thought?
as a wrestling fan, I'm like, holy shit, I had the Hardys on, and like they're I put them over on the podcast like they're the greatest tag team of all
Yeah.
time. Like
Absolutely.
coolest shit ever. Anybody from like my generation, probably even your generation, we're
Oh yeah,
not
for
far
sure.
off in age,
Oh
is
yeah,
gonna say, hey, the Hardys were some of the most influential tag team of all time.
dude. They
Like
transcend generations, man. Everybody
it,
loves the Hardys. It's crazy.
absolutely. And like my dad understands. We watch wrestling all the time. He's the reason I do this. My
Mhm.
brothers understand. They're like, "Oh my god, this is the craziest thing ever." And then like it's funny cuz I'll like tell my fiance who doesn't like wrestling at all. And she's like, "That's
Yeah,
cool. That's
that's
cool.
cool.
Good for you."
She's like, they're brothers.
Um,
Oh, okay.
that's cool. That's cool. They're brothers and they're
Yeah.
Hardys. Cool. That's interesting.
Cool. Like, what are we
Uh,
doing for dinner?
exactly. Just
Yeah,
moves on
move
completely.
on.
I'm like, this is a big deal.
Yeah, you're not understanding the severity of what's going on here. All right.
Exactly. Like I'm having a full crash out moment. Like
Yeah.
I've never had more adrenaline in my life. And yeah, what are we? You gonna make dinner now?
Yeah. Right. Hey, but congrats on that. That's a sick pull, man.
Absolutely. I guess while we're here, thanks TNA. Without TNA, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be possible.
Yeah. Shout
Just
out
throwing that
TNA.
out there. Um, I want to jump right back into the highlighting Chicago independence. You got to take on one of the, I mean, some would argue maybe putting him on the Mount Rushmore of Chicago Indies, and that's Colt Cabana.
Oh yeah,
How
absolutely.
important was your match with Colt Cabana at Freelance's We're Gonna Plex Him?
Oh yeah. I think as you remember the show names, they all start to blend in a little bit. But oh no, that one was also just surreal too. Because like I said, I was very late to the indies, but Cabana is one that like, especially if you're from the area, you're like,
It's kind of like
dude,
you just automatically know.
yeah, he's your guy. Like he was a great dude. The only thing that unfortunately soured that match was unrelated to him or anything, but I had torn my labrum a few months
Okay,
before,
I
and
understand.
oh man, and
It sucks.
it sucks, man. And at that point in time the wrestling career, very early on, like my shoulder kept dislocating, and it was literally around the time that match was happening. I had to like make the decision. I'm like, I just got to go see a doctor now and see what the next step is. And in the back of my head, I already knew. I'm like, man, I'm gonna need to get surgery, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna need to take time off. So like in the moment, I was able to like have a blast with Cabana, but it's just in the back of my head. I'm like, man, this postponing the inevitable sucks. But man, it's still a blast, still very surreal. He was very kind. He like with his time afterwards, like just giving as much feedback and knowledge that he can, which he didn't have to do, but I'm grateful that he did. And it's got some of my favorite moments that I've done. Anything, I always have a blast doing stuff like in wrestling matches that's almost not even like wrestling related. Like the baby we brought up earlier,
Mhm.
that was a blast. At some point I'm sitting in the corner and Cabana we got a basketball from an arcade machine
Mhm.
because I said I'm a black belt and I could beat him in anything, and I'm like pick anything, and he's like, what about basketball? Because there's this game right next to the Emporium ring, and I show off the worst handles ever in the ring, bragging like I'm MJ, and he ends up getting the ball somehow, and I'm in the corner, and he's making it look like he's gonna shoot a 3-pointer at me, and then he overhand throws it like a baseball pitch as hard as he could right in my chest. And I make such a funny scream as he hits me, and,
I
and
love it.
that the sound of the ball bouncing off my chest echoes in my head to this day. And another fun moment, it was looking back, it's fun, but in the moment I was dying. Was we bumped the ref on accident. Uh-oh. I grab a steel chair. He's in the corner. He ducks it. He's in the corner. He kicks the chair into my head. Rocked me a little bit. And then I'm sitting down and he does this Superman pin, like the dive where he hooks his
Yep.
like legs on mine. I'm dying, dude. I was not flexible enough to take it, but he's a big boy, so it forced me to lay there. And the ref is selling the bump, doing the slowest 3 count. I'm like, bro, please. I'm like, wrap it up. I'm dying.
You
And as soon
fold
as
it
he
up like
got,
an accordion.
yes. And I feel stuff poking my lungs. And as soon as he counts to three, I'm like, oh, thank goodness.
I love it. So I gotta ask about the labrum. So
Yeah, of course.
I've torn my left rotator cuff and labrum in high school
Uh,
wrestling.
oh, man, it's unfortunate.
Worst, it sucks so bad.
Yeah.
When you find out what's mentally going through your head of, hey, I've got this injury,
Mm.
I'm probably gonna take time off, and how'd you assess that and come out of it?
Well, I think it's just, I'll just start like with the injury. It happened in, I believe, my sixth or seventh match, which like sucks because like, oh sorry, you're like at that point it's like everything is a blast. Anytime you get on a show, you're like, this is so cool, this is fun, nothing can go wrong. And as soon as something does go wrong, that's when a switch kind of clicked in my brain. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, this is definitely still real. Anything, it could all get taken away very quickly if you're not careful. So the first time I dislocated my shoulder in a match, I still finished the spot and then I rolled out. Luckily, it's a multi-man, so I roll out and I was rolling out of the ring. I felt my shoulder pop back in. and I'm just on the outside moving my shoulder, like finding out my mobility in my left shoulder, moving it around. Like, all right, it's moving fine. Like, it obviously feels a little funny because it just dislocated and popped back in. But then I was able to finish the match, no problem. And then you're just always in the denial thing where I was just like,
Yes.
"Ah, it's probably just a freak accident or whatever. I'm probably fine, fine." And then one day we were training with Ali, and we were working on this like AJ Styles. He does that arm drag where he hooks his arm and he kind of like spins around them with his feet not touching,
Yep.
then lands and gives them. We were doing a variation of that off the ropes, and I was struggling with it. And I got one that was like a good rep, but I wanted it to be like a great rep. So I'm like, no, let's try it one more time. And then it popped out again there. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, now it's reoccurring. So I was like, still in denial. I'm like, two times coincidence, bro.
Freak
I'm
accident.
fine. Yeah, it's a freak
Yep.
accident. And then I did a battle or a Royal Rumble for Black Label Pro, and I literally just clubbed Koda in the back with my right arm and my left shoulder dislocated just from me clubbing him. So I was like, then I was like super bummed out. I'm like, all right, now I got to go see a doctor
Yeah.
because it's clearly something's off. And I, that's around the time that Colt match was happening. I postponed it and I finally did it and I finally get the news. First thing that's going in my head is like, man, of all times right now, because I was in a freelance they were very kind to me and they gave me a lot of opportunities early on. And I was like in a feud with Kylie Ray. And I knew it's like the blow off was approaching. And they're like, yeah, you need surgery on your shoulder. So I was able to tough it out to the blow off, and then I just let them know. I'm like, if you guys have any plans for me after this, just let me. I'm just letting you know I'm gonna need surgery. So like, forget whatever opportunities or things you had in mind. And then the main concern is like we just come back from COVID, and the crowd kind of changed at freelance a little bit because some people didn't want to go out. We got some new fans, and they kind of got to see me like start to grow. I was like the newer person there, so we kind of grew up together, like with the new audience or whatever. And I'm like, man, are they even gonna remember me when I come back? Was the main concern. And like I'm sure I had all these ideas. I'm like, yeah, you could do promos or whatever. When you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. And then once I got hurt and I was just thought about it, I'm like, then my opinion kind of switched on it. I'm like, I don't want to look like I'm begging to like be back in the limelight. I'm like, you just got to do the tough way of like working hard again. Once I was done rehabbing and I was cleared to do physical activity like wrestling again. I'm like, you literally just got to start from like step number one and work your way back. I'm like, you've done it once before, you can do it again.
So during all this, you were in the feud with Kylie Ray.
Yes.
I want to, I guess, the history there. Obviously, she helped train you.
hmm
What was it like for you working so closely with her? As a trainee, an opponent, and even a partner.
Well, okay, so as a trainee, she's like a freak of nature. I'm convinced she has black holes like where her lungs are or something because like it's literally she could do like a million drills no problem and be perfectly fine. And then the rest of us are dying like like laying on the mat and she's like, "Oh, let's try it again." And we're like, "Bro, I'm like I need a lung transplant." Like so like she's great in like terms of that, man. Like she would like really push us. And then at the time, like I think she could be in the argument for sure for like Chicago independence now as like
Yes.
people from Chicago. You could definitely like make an argument if you want to put her on the Mount Rushmore. Like she was huge and we had just come back and like she was really big on the independents at that time, especially because like people were starving for the indies and the indies just kind of started to come back. So like people kind of wanted to pick up where they left off and they were just happy to see her back. And the fact that like not only freelance but she trusted me as well with this program when I definitely like look at my experience level. Like anybody could have made the argument I don't deserve it, and I wouldn't even fight against it. I'd be like, you're totally right. I'm like she was like my ninth match. I think was our first singles match.
Okay.
But she was just very kind. The fact that she was willing to do it is super cool. And we had a blast too. We did a couple tag matches together in our story. We got to wrestle Davey in August.
Hmm.
So that was a blast because like those guys are also like some of my best friends. And it's always the matches where you're in the ring with like all your friends, like you have the most fun. So like all of us we were just having a blast there. And there's still things that happen in that match that I bring up to Davey Bang to make fun of him for. Like at one point, I think I'm giving August like a rock bottom off the second rope, and it's supposed to be on a tabletop Davey Bang. And for some reason, as I start lifting August up, Davey Bang inches in closer, and I'd already measured to throw him where Davey was, and August is already going down. So August's legs clip, and it looks like his head just whips back and hits the mat since Davey moved in. And I'm like, bro, dude, Davey was trying to take you off. He wanted that singles run, dude. He's trying to take you out.
Easy way to make it happen.
Yeah, but no, yeah, she was just great to work with, great to train under, and like we were spoiled to have her. I mean, anybody that is able to train under her, like you're gonna get some good training.
Definitely. How did it feel to be the one to take the freelance world title from her?
That's funny. It was a kind of a little for the fans that remembered our feud. It was a little bit of an Easter egg, which was pretty neat. It was pretty surreal. That was I think it I don't I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Like the main thing that was going through my head there was don't trip down the stairs when I run out because I didn't want to like face plant right before I cashed in that medallion. That was like the main thing going through my head. I'm like, don't do that. I'm like, all you gotta do is run there, don't trip down the stairs, slide in the ring, and you're set. The rest is easy. So that was cool. Um, I think I made her laugh because I started kicking her out of the ring immediately. In that tag match with Davey and August, I make her laugh a lot. I have pictures still where she's covering her mouth because like I either said or did something to make her laugh, and she has like in. Uh, so like her laugh as soon as I start, I was being like an extra dickhead. That was pretty
Do
cool too.
do you in matches try to break people?
Sometimes, like if it's I not in certain ways, yes. Like if I'm with my buddies, I'll try and like slip in some inside jokes or stuff that I know will break them. And then ways if I'm wrestling people I don't really know as much, the ways I'll try and break them is by being as over the top as like possible with like especially it's easier as a bad guy with like one liners or like
Mhm.
the like screams when I sell or whatever, then I'll try and like kind of break them in that regard. But it's definitely more intentional when I'm like with my bros in the ring.
I I love that aspect of wrestling, especially like you see it a lot of times when you get characters on television, like in R Truth or
Oh
even like
yeah.
a Santino Marella. Like
Oh dude, that guy's
they're
my
going out
hero,
there and
dude.
breaking people, and
You
I
into
love it.
Santino yet?
I have not. I've
Dude,
met
that'd be
him.
sick. Really?
I went to Monroe, Michigan for IWR. It's Rhino's show up.
Oh, that's sick.
He has one up there. I went up there, I want to say in March,
Mhm.
and Santino was on the card. I talked to him for
Man.
like a minute or two and told him like I was really putting over like, hey, like I can do media with TNA. Like obviously
Mhm.
TNA has to approve it or they have to, put it in place. Like I'd love to
Yeah.
have you on. So if you'd like to be on, maybe throw a word out there kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
he was like, if it happens, it happens. We'll see what happens. It's definitely one because I love Santino as a kid. I think I
Same,
grew
dude.
up at the perfect time. Like when he debuted, I was probably like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And so like my whole like adolescence, Santino was the comic character of my childhood.
So funny, man. Another reason I love him too is because like I said, most of my family loved wrestling. Like maybe like one of my brothers or whatever was more casual about it. My mom couldn't care less. But the one person everybody loved is Santino because he's so funny. So like, oh man, that's like the number one dream match right there. If that can happen, realistically, because like obviously people retire or whatnot or don't wrestle anymore, but like that could happen out there. I'd love for that to happen.
Yeah, I remember him in the elimination chamber whenever everybody thought he
Crazy.
was gonna win. I was so hyped. I was like, "There's no way they're about to give Santino the world title," and I don't think I'd have been happier as a kid.
Dude, I would have lost. I would have skipped school, dude.
I'm not going to
I would
school
have like,
Monday.
I need,
We're
yeah, I'd be like,
staying here.
yeah, we're staying in.
We're staying home.
Surreal.
So, Revolver made its long-awaited, coming out party in the Chicagoland area,
Mhm.
and yourself defends the freelance world title on that card. How did that come together? And do you think that was a coming out party for Freelance?
I think so for sure, but it's cool because I think in concept it was definitely like a coming out for Freelance, but I think not in the way people thought because you got to remember Freelance runs Logan Square Auditorium like every month.
Yeah,
To where a lot of the fans there were Freelance, so it's like they were like already kind of familiar with us, which was cool. But like me, trying to be more of a performer, I like to challenge myself, and I was really hoping it would be more of a different crowd, so I can like because I like to keep testing my my character and be like it's because you kind of can get lost in working the same crowd. Like they know who you are, they know what to expect, they know whether they're going to cheer you or boo you. That I like working newer crowds to be like, do I still have it that I can get a reaction with people that have no idea who I am? As for how that match came about, I still don't, I'm not even like 100% sure. I believe it was Ali hit me up and he was like, do you want to be on this show? Because they were doing the Chicago versus Revolver kind of like deal.
yeah,
And I was like, I mean, I'd love to if you could work anything out. If not, no biggie. I'll still come help out, hang out. And then I don't know if he talked to Nix or if Nix talked to Sammy or if they all talked together. But next thing I know, I just get this graphic of like the scramble match and I'm defending the belt. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Like I didn't expect that. So like it was cool like that we were able to showcase the belt on a different show. A show that's very like well regarded and like gets a lot of eyes. So like that was really fun. But then like it also just felt very familiar, being in Logan Square Auditorium, with the belt and like my dumb robe and everything. So yeah, it's surreal. I use that word a lot, but like if it's surreal, I'm gonna say it.
do you think it would have been something different maybe if you went to Dayton or in Iowa where they do their shows?
No, yeah, absolutely. Like, cause then I'd know like if I was being generous to myself, and I'd say maybe one person might have an idea of who I am. But it would be great because I would definitely have to like work harder, which I love. I love you know, people that don't know who I am. Because I always tell people, like, or like students or whatever, I always tell them assume that every crowd you work for has zero idea who you are. That's how much you kind of got to ham up, your essence. Like, oh, whether this guy's like a super good guy and he's super chipper, or he's like a quiet downer bad guy, how you can play it up like physically with your face, your body, what you decide to say or not say. So like if it was in Dayton or Iowa, absolutely, it would be completely different story.
Do you feel like ever like working the same crowd sometimes like maybe on accident your like character gets watered down?
I think certain it depends. I think on the performer because some people will kind of either get complacent or like they'll be like just kind of get in like the Groundhog Day of it where it's like just
Yeah.
doing the same thing over and over again. The way I think you can get out of that hole is if you keep challenging yourself, like thinking of like, okay, I've been here for a while. What's something I haven't done in this company that I can do within the realm of possibilities? So whether it's maybe switching up to tags or for me, like a freelance recently, just becoming a good guy when I'd been a bad guy for so long. Maybe it's like different, trying stuff out with different promos and the people that follow like you online when they come and see you now they might have a different perspective on you because of like what you put out there. So it's really up to the wrestler. Like if you want to be complacent and keep doing the same thing, yeah, you're gonna get stuck in that loop nonstop, doing the same thing over and over again. But if you push yourself, try and become different, that's where like you can keep things fresh in the same crowd.
I like it. I like that. Do you have a favorite defense of the freelance world title?
Well, I didn't have many, so I'll say I'll say Koda because now I could say I beat him in the main event, and that one was special too because that was the first time two students from the Freelance Wrestling Academy main evented, where the main event was literally just two students wrestling each other. Because I know he'd main evented, I believe, against like Corbin, so like a regular, and I know the Bros had definitely main evented against some people as well. So it was cool that it was the first time it was just, us. And the shows sold out too, like on almost I think just the announcement that like of I think just the poster announcement, which was like mostly like students and regulars. There was no like giant like big like oh AEW stars or whatever on here, blah blah blah. Come buy tickets. Like the fact that it was like mostly off of the premise of us two and it sold out right away was something we were very proud of. Because we had no idea. We don't know. We're like, maybe this will be the show where people are like, oh, we're sick of these dudes or whatever. We want like, we want the names here, whatever. So, we're very happy that we were able to do that. And I beat him. So like, what else can I say?
So, like, finding out that you guys are main eventing for the belt and then selling out, how does that affect you guys, like, personally?
I think personally, I think we're just as like friends, we were just happy for each other. Like, man, we've come such a long way from like us not being on shows to like training together, working together. I think what made us become such close friends, like me, him, Davian, August, like Trevor, was we all pushed each other. Because like
Mhm.
no disrespect to other people, but some people have different goals in wrestling. Maybe they want it to be more casual. Maybe they're just like something that's like, yeah, I'll just try it out, do it for fun. What attracted us all together is like we would all work extremely hard and then push each other when we like saw we weren't slacking. Like the competitive nature, the friendly competition between all of us is like what attracted all of us together. We were all going to all the shows to help set up, just like meet people, like make connections and whatnot. So like when you're day one like training buddy and you are now at the main event of like your home promotion, it's a very special feeling.
Absolutely. Before we go on to talk about potting with ego
Yeah.
and Chicago Wrestling Center,
Mhm.
I'm gonna do a little segment on the show. My little brother does the live streams with us, and we call him Nasty Nate.
Oh,
He
nice.
he's always
Wait,
asking
are we,
us like,
wait, I'm sorry to interrupt. Are we episode 169?
"Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Nice.
sir." um, he does like a starting five concept where he'll
Okay.
ask. It's kind of like a Mount Rushmore, but I
Yeah.
mean, for basketball fans, there's starting five who come off the bench and they start the game. I've kind of put my own spin on it and
Mhm.
say, okay, you're a coach. You have to pick five people to start on your team, whether that's a basketball team, a war games team, whatever you want.
Ooh.
Um, as a coach, who are these five people you're going to pick to take your team to victory?
Okay. And it could be for any like it could be a matchup or a team or anything I want.
Any walks of life. I think Koda had J. Cole on there and a bunch of
Oh,
other
okay,
people.
okay.
So
All right, good,
anybody.
good. Um, do they have to be alive?
No,
Okay, perfect. All right. This team's gonna make no sense and we're gonna lose, but
I
it's
love it.
just because I want to meet these people. So we're going Michael Jackson. We're going Jim Morrison, lead singer of the Doors. Man, who else? Okay, okay. I don't want to jump the gun too far ahead because I'm like, man, who else would I want to meet? Definitely. I can't put all the Beatles; they won't all fit. um, Kurt Angle to stick to wrestling
Okay.
because I'd really love to meet Kurt Angle. We're at 3. And who else do I really love that I don't want to? Sylvester Stallone, he's there.
That's badass.
4, yeah, Stallone's the man. 4, man, maybe we'll let's see. We got 2 singers, a wrestler, an actor. We'll mix it up. We'll throw a comedian in there, Shane Gillis.
I like it.
Yeah, we're
So
gonna lose at whatever. Maybe it
who
could be
takes the pin?
who takes the pin. They'll just tag me and I'll take it out of
You'll
respect
take
for all those people. Yeah,
it.
out of respect for them.
Okay. Which my question is, which era of Michael Jackson do we get?
Oh man, that's tough because I think my favorite album of his is Bad. So maybe the Bad era, like during the Bad tour.
Okay.
But then but then I want to talk to him about Dangerous and History and Invincible as well.
Okay.
Man, so it's tricky.
We'll
Jim
say in
Morrison.
theory he knows all that,
Okay,
but
yeah,
it's the
then
bad era.
the Bad era. I think that's where he looked the coolest. I mean, the Thriller look is beyond iconic, but my favorite's
It's
the
almost
Smooth
cliche
Criminal.
though.
Yeah,
Smooth
yeah.
Criminal's dope. I like that.
Smooth Criminal, the white suit. The white hat and the blue stripe on the sleeve. That's sick.
It's perfect.
For Stallone, it would have to be, I think, after Rocky 4.
Okay.
I do love Rocky Balboa as well, but I'm like, if it's we're doing anything athletic, we want roided out 5'6"
Just
Stallone.
overly big
Yeah.
Stallone.
Clearly not a
Okay.
heavyweight boxer, but at least he's shredded to the gills.
Exactly. You're gonna believe it. Like
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. We'll take Morrison from I believe it was 68 or when he did Live at Hollywood Bowl.
Okay.
I think that was before, because then like after that it kind of started going downhill, and like in around 69, 70, 71, where he was getting too drunk and too high to like perform, but he would still do it and people would just go to see him like, be fucked up on stage.
You want him functional, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
exactly.
What
Man,
about
maybe we
Angle?
Angle. It's got to be, I think, the TNA run probably.
Okay, so peak Angle.
Peak Angle,
Peak
absolutely.
Angle.
Shane, maybe when he was a D1 until he quit and never actually got any time on the field when he was in his athletic prime. But I don't know if
Okay.
he was actually, no. I don't. Let's pick him now because I
You
think
don't know if he was
he's in his
funny then.
comedic prime. He was probably funny, but I think he just, at least in like regards to like stand up comedy, he probably like has honed his craft more now. But he was probably definitely funny then to just be around.
Definitely.
So yeah, we'll take
Definitely.
him. And he's a big guy too. Who knows? We might win something. If we got Kurt, Stallone, and
You
like
look, this is a
Shane.
pretty solid team.
Yeah.
Like you got to think like even Michael and Morris are gonna be athletic,
Yeah, exactly, dude.
especially
Nobody's
if you
gonna
think about the substances that they might be partaking in before they get
exactly.
out there.
Bro,
They're
no one's
ready.
breaking MJ's ankles, dude. He's too
No,
nimble.
exactly.
Morrison will just throw him off. Stallone's gonna be jacked. Shane's gonna be a tank. And Kurt Angle's unstoppable as well.
Yes, Kurt's doing 450 knee drops. Like
Oh, I
you're
swear,
not stopping Angle.
he's just gonna front flip off the stage onto Abyss.
This is a badass team.
Yeah, I think it's pretty sick. I'm pretty happy with it.
So, I mean, just to jump back in to you are part of your own podcast
Yes.
with Ego Robert
Yeah.
Anthony. How did that come together? And when did you meet Robert Anthony?
I met Robert I think I officially met him. It might have been the very first freelance show because I'd been on shows,
Mhm.
or just been at shows too where he'd been around. But like I always say, mouth shut, ears open. So I would just introduce myself, not bother anybody. And we really didn't start getting close until I think his very last show at Freelance, because we found out we all kind of got a lot in common. Like we all like video games and whatnot, the same kind of movies, music and whatnot. So it was almost like bittersweet that he was leaving. It's like, oh man, we like just got to know this guy and became cool with him, and now he's kind of like leaving. So, but he'd also around that time he would book us. He would book Berwyn Championship Wrestling, which I don't think is around anymore.
Okay.
And a fun story, the match I was wrestling Kylie in our very first match. He'd been training. He was a trainer at the Freelance Wrestling Academy, and I would go to his classes whenever I could because he would run Saturdays, and I also had like the shoot job, so I wouldn't. Whenever I could, I'd gone to a few of his classes, and he was watching me and Kylie, and he's talking to Isaiah. He's like, "Who is this Alfonso guy? Like this guy is awesome." And Isaiah is like, he's one of our students. He's like, well, I've never seen him in my class. Isaiah's like, I was at your class last week. He was there. He's like, oh, that's weird. So, the ego jokes just write themselves. And like, I think we definitely just became more and more closer the more and more shows he decided to run. That like eventually we're like, man, you're running so many of these like straggler shows. Why don't you just make your own? Just make your own show, because like the baseball stuff is with like the Thunderbolts and whatnot, and he was doing the charity shows, which are great at the farm, but like nothing was like just strictly like ego. So we're
Mhm.
like, we'd always joke around and be like, when are you gonna do Ego Pro? Like haha. Like then he finally did his big event. We'd all become pretty close by then, and he had been podcasting around this time as well, but then he kind of stopped. So like around the time like the shows, he started doing his own thing with Ego Pro. We're like, bro, when are you gonna bring the podcast back? And he was just like, I don't know. I think he was just like not as inspired anymore to do it. And then we just kept bothering him about it so much, like over and over again, that he's like, well, why don't you guys just do it with me? And we're like, all right, we'll do it if it makes you do it. And then now we're coming up at almost a year we've been doing it. So it's pretty fun. I'm clearly the fan favorite, but it's whatever. Yeah, I didn't ask to be cursed, with this with this
Exactly.
charisma, and I'm also the only one. I'll just get this out there right now. I'm very dumb. I'm not very book smart,
It
but
happens.
I look like fucking Albert Einstein next to these two because they can't even. You can hand them like green eggs and ham, and they mess up at least one sentence on every page.
That's insane.
Not because they're dumb. I think they're just not good at speaking, which is like the one
Okay.
thing you should be able to be good at if you're gonna have a podcast where you want people to listen to you talk. And
It's
I
it's
I, I
it's a
call them out all the time.
requirement. It's one
Yeah,
of the
right.
few requirements is
So
being able to speak.
at least one of the three hosts is able to get out a complete sentence without like stumbling over or like ego is so old that he'll just start. Sometimes he just starts sentences and doesn't even. He just stops. Like he's like, oh, like, well, what were we talking about? I'm like, bro, this is scary.
I love it.
We're
I love it
documenting
so
in
much.
real time his CTE taking over his brain,
Okay.
and then we're gonna donate this to Harvard. Where I dropped out of, uh, to be for like a case study.
What percent do you think's taken over?
Oh man, it's pretty. It's definitely past the halfway point at this rate.
Okay.
I
Like
got to remind him
65?
about. Oh yeah, definitely around there. Maybe six teams. Maybe around 74%
Okay.
for
Okay.
team 74 for Robert.
I love it. I love it. So just I guess all jokes aside,
Oh
like
yeah.
what are some of the things that you've been able to learn, maybe both professionally and personally, from Robert?
Well, personally, he got me into gambling, which is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Because
Okay.
I don't win.
You're not good at it.
No, I'm not good, but I don't bet a lot of money either. I always say go in with the amount of money that you're comfortable losing. So if
I
you're
think that's a fair
absolutely,
assessment of gambling.
yeah, exactly. If you're like dropping like 300, losing it, rinsing it right away, and going to the ATM, then maybe it's a problem.
Time
Like
to go home.
yeah. You know what they say though, the ATM's the one machine you always win at, but you actually kind of lose too because they charge you like $9 just to use it.
It's insane.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But like when it comes to Rob, I think he's just got the experience, and that's stuff you can't teach because he's been around for so long, especially around Chicago. When you talk about, I mean, I hate the guy, but like I can't deny that if you're talking Mount Rushmore independence in Chicago, you could definitely make the argument to put Rob there.
Definitely.
So like he's
Absolutely.
like, so it's like he's just got the experience, and he's got. I'll give him this as well, man. He's a hustler. Like him getting, whether it's getting venues or like people to come out, getting talent for his shows. Like when he runs a show, he knows that it's his name on the marquee, Ego Pro. So he's gonna do everything in his power to make sure the show goes not only as well as it can go, but as like seamless, and make sure everybody has a good time. Every fan leaves feeling like happy and they got their money's worth. And dude, man, because he's a busy guy, he's got his family, he's got his job, and he's like, the fact that he's able to like find the time to get these venues, get these meetings, get these shows, it shows more than anything, it shows his love for like the boys, because I think it all always stems down to not necessarily him just putting his name on it, but the fact that like it's kind of like all of his boys, it represents all of the boys that are on the show. He doesn't want to run like a half-ass show and have his friends wrestle on it. He wants to make it the best.
What do you think Robert's legacy will be for Chicago wrestling?
Man, it depends because you could look at it from different eras because he was big in like the early 2000s and then he got the FCW deal. So he kind of disappeared for a while and then he did like the really hard thing of like coming back, and I know he'll sell you like he was totally out of it. He was kind of checked out from wrestling for a little bit at some point. Anytime you see him in basketball shorts in the ring, that's when he was like checked out.
Hmm.
But then he like did a great job of redefining himself. Like people people you could look at the egotistico era and love his like high flying lucha, hybrid style. And then you could look at Robert Anthony, two completely different people. But I think overall his legacy will be that he genuinely cared.
I like it.
Like absolutely.
It's simple. I mean, and I think the wrestling world's better when you have people in it that genuinely care, not only
Yeah.
about the sport and about the fans, but about the men and women who put their bodies
Oh, yeah,
on the
absolutely.
line for our entertainment.
That's the one thing, yeah, he gets it too, and I think that's what's great about having a wrestling promoter that has wrestled as long as him, is he's not gonna do, like, the shorthand, underhand tactics some promoters might try and get, young talent to do, like, oh, maybe, like, working for free or whatever, doing stuff they're not comfortable with and pocketing all the money, like, he's one of the boys, so he knows, like, oh, what shows have I been on and what didn't I like about how these shows were run? I'm not going to do that. What did I like about shows I have been on? We're going to do all of that. To like keep all the boys as happy as possible. You got a happy locker room, you're going to have a great show.
If a fan watching has never been to an Ego Pro show, what can they expect when they walk through those doors?
I think they can expect to be entertained. Like, absolutely. You can even get the most stubborn person that's like never like even seen anything in wrestling, and I guarantee you at least one person on the roster is going to be able to connect with them because there's such a diverse like set of matches that go on at Ego Pro. Like the same show you have Top Flight versus Davey and August. You have myself having a dance off with Dirty Dango in the ring.
I love it.
And the same show you're having Robert and Trevor Outlaw have a street fight. Like there's something for everybody in wrestling, and that goes like twofold for an Ego Pro show.
I feel like those are the best. Those are the best shows. And when you get a taste of everything, and you get your comedy,
Yeah,
you get your serious, you get your absolute banger of a match, and then you get some violence.
exactly right.
It's a perfect recipe for both success, and chaos, and a disaster all in one.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, uh, what is like your role at Chicago Wrestling Center, and what have you been able to learn and take from Mustafa Ali in that setting?
I think well, technically the role would be like we're like assistant coaches, Coach Koda and myself. Like never like really an official label, but we're essentially there to help him run the beginner class because he hit us up and he was like, I can't just like teach these kids how to wrestle. Like I need you guys to kind of help demonstrate because like every class is like 16 or 18 people, and it's just very hard to like pay attention to everybody when it's just one person.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he'd helped us out so much, like or like at that point in our careers, like because he's another guy that just he genuinely cares about not just wrestling, but like he takes care of his boys, and he knows it's very hard. I think that's something they both got in common because they kind of came up around the same time, and they know how shitty the indie wrestling scene can be.
Yes.
So whenever if it's easy for them to give somebody a break, they're not bitter. They're not like, oh well, it's harder for me. It's got to be hard for everybody. No, they're both very much like, if I can help somebody else not have to experience like the bullshit they had to experience, they will. So that's something they got in common. And he gave us that opportunity. And obviously, I'm going to jump at it because one, I love teaching. Like at least stuff that I know, I've always loved. Kind of helping people. There's no greater feeling than like seeing somebody like struggle with something and then you can finally like, put into words and see like the light bulb switch and then they finally get something. Like as a teacher, like that's a great feeling. So we help him out with the beginners and intermediate courses, and then training we train right after in his advanced class, which like if anybody's listening here is like a wrestler in the Chicagoland area, I implore you, whether you're intermediate or advanced, or if you even want to just like you feel like you didn't get like the best training and you want to start from scratch, I implore you to go to Chicago Wrestling Center because there's no school like it right now in Chicago. I've learned so much from him in regards to like things I wouldn't even think of. Like he's like showing us like how to wrestle, and he like showing us the layout of like, okay, traditionally if this is hard cam, you're gonna have a roaming camera here. How would you play to these things and also not forget about the crowd all around you? Things like that, like moves that I wouldn't even like think about really. Like I didn't even think were possible. He's like, well, he knows what moves we like to do, and he'll find out like extremely creative ways to get into these things that I
Cool.
would have never thought of. Just like giving us all tools. So like, there's literally one I missed like one day, and he's like, "Oh, we did a couple of these things. I know you like to do the crab. I want to show you real quick. These could be real like neat ways for you to get into it." So like, it's always I learn something new every day. It's never just like a rinse and repeat, kind of do the same thing. He's great.
So it's definitely a program or a school you'd like to get into if you're trying to elevate yourself into being in position to one day be on a television program.
No, absolutely, man. Like he's like I told you at the very beginning, like about finding wrestling schools with like reputable people. It doesn't get more reputable than him. Like
Exactly.
he's doing it, you know? Like right now he's like it's his job. So like why wouldn't you? You know, and if you have the means to do it, I would absolutely implore you to go there. We got people that come from all around that have already had training and they always say the same thing that they're blown away with like how the school runs and like they all have the same they say the same thing I have. I say they're like you could tell that he genuinely like gives a shit
I
and
love
like
it.
he wants everybody to get better.
Perfect. And I'd like to just say it's another one of those examples of somebody from the Chicago area saying, "Hey, maybe the city hasn't been taken as seriously as it needs to be.
Mhm.
Let's change that image."
No, I think that's he's very big on just giving back.
Yes.
And I think it goes back to like what I said about him giving us work, and it's like he knows how shitty it was when he came up.
Hmm.
That he's like, let's just cut the bullshit out. And he's like, if he doesn't do it, I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but I think he's got the mentality of like, if he doesn't do it, then who will? So like, that's what he's doing it now, which is great.
Definitely. I'm glad that yourself and Coda get to be a part of it too.
Oh yeah, we're super happy. We're super blessed to be able to do it.
One more question, then I'm gonna let you go. We are about to jump into 2026. What are some of the goals you'd like to achieve, whether it's in your wrestling career, or personal life, throughout the year of 2026?
Man, I think it's just I don't know. See, I never set too crazy of goals. It's kind of like a day by day thing, but like if I had to come up with something off the top of my head, it would definitely be to just keep trying to work consistently, branch out a little bit more. Like I was able to get some new states in this year, which I was happy. I think I went the furthest out I've ever wrestled was Nevada, so I was
Nice.
very blessed to be able to do that. And it was at Mania Week 2, which was really cool. See, like that's a goal like I didn't set for myself, but it just kind of came to me. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like I told you, like I don't like setting those things that are like, oh, you got to get a Mania show booking, you got to get a Mania show booking, or else this whole year was a waste. Like I never put that pressure on me, and then the opportunity presented it to myself, so I was very happy to get it. Other things, man, I think obviously trying to get better at wrestling as good as I can get, and I'm at the perfect place for that under Ali, helping out our students, especially our graduates, whatever new graduates we get from this class that's currently going on, helping them get work, trying to work my students so they can like learn firsthand would be great. Um, that match with Santino would be sick.
Okay.
So that's a big one, and then I think I always like to push myself to be more creative, like especially when it comes to promos. I got a very fun project that should be out it definitely before this year ends, definitely not too late by the end of the year, which is something I've always wanted to do, thinking very outside of the box, but it is still loosely wrestling related. So I won't give you any more spoilers, but
Interesting.
yeah, it's very loosely related to wrestling, but
You've
there's gonna be a
piqued
lot
my
of
interest.
surprises. Yes, yeah, it's gonna be a blast. So I think just that's the big general goal I'll say for myself is keep finding ways to be creative and not get complacent and just like fall in the loop of doing the same thing over and over again.
Perfect. Alfonso, I just want to say, for one, thank you for joining us. It was absolute blast. You ever want to come back on for part two? The store is wide open. I'd love to do another one of
Oh yeah,
these.
absolutely, man. We just scratched the surface, and thank you for having me. It's definitely one of the more fun podcasts I've done. So I appreciate I
Uh,
like your questions as well.
Thank you. Before I let you go, you want to shout out your socials, maybe upcoming podcasts, events, things like that you got coming for us.
Yeah, I'm not sure when this will drop, but I know for sure it's probably I think it's a Thursday, November 20th. Be wrestling at Freelance Wrestling in Emporium. If this comes out before November 1st, I am in Bloomington Normal for Iron Spirit Pro. As we're recording this, I have Pro Wrestling Battleground debut in Minneapolis, Minnesota tomorrow. And then I have Ego's show at the Dome. the 25th. If they have already happened, try and find replays. Support independent wrestling however you can. If you want to buy any of my shitty merch, it's on Pro Wrestling Tees under Alfonso Gonzalez. You can buy it there. Or if you see me at any show, I'll have foam fingers, headbands, a bunch of nonsense and goodies you'd like to buy. Or if you want to just do something as simple as follow me, you can follow me at the Alfonso_G on Instagram, the Alfonso G on Twitter, no underscore. I was really mad that Team Alfonso was taken on both Twitter and Instagram. Probably not even the same person. So I couldn't get that handle. But if you want to just follow me, support any independent wrestler however you can. Follow, like, share, buy. It doesn't matter. Just show some love. That'd be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. With that all said, I'll just leave this and see you next time, man.
All right. See you next time. We're definitely doing it again.